Action. What up, y'all? Ben Solved back with another video. I figured I can squeeze out maybe another video before I pack up and move to my new location. I start a new position next week after next, a little bit, yeah, in a few days, about 10 days. And I've been packing up my RV, getting ready to relocate. Today's video, we're going to talk about RSOs and how it's used and how it's helped me. Rick Simpson Oil, or you might hear me refer it to as izzOs. Rick Simpson Oil is a cannabis extract that takes its name from the medical cannabis activist who created it, Rick Simpson. Simpson claims that applying the oil to cancer spots on his skin cleared them within days. I started using Rick Simpson oil because edibles just wasn't cutting it anymore. I was taking 20 milligram edibles, then I was taking 50 milligram edibles, then I went up to 100 milligram gummies, and then I started eating a whole bag. Started getting expensive. Plus, I don't like eating all that sugar. I'm at that age right now where my body has stopped breaking down sugar and salt crystals. So I'm either pissing them out or I have a lot of kidney stones. I have so many kidney stones, I actually give them names. And I'll generally say whether it's a boy or girl. The largest one I've passed, well, technically I didn't pass, it was broken down, but it was 7 millimeters. Think about that. That's 2 millimeters smaller than a 9 millimeter bullet passing through my pee hole. When I tell you I was in pain, I can't even describe the agony. I was staying at my parents' house at the time, helping my mom with my dad. I woke up in the morning in so much pain I started vomiting. I don't know if you know this or not, but if a man gets kicked in the nuts really, really hard, he will begin to cough and then possibly vomit. I went to the hospital and of course I had a kidney stone. They gave me morphine. After which, when I got out the hospital, I stayed awake for 2 days with night sweats. I didn't realize I was going through withdrawals until I became agitated very easy by the 3rd day. I'm saying to myself, I'm going through withdrawals. I was so upset because I felt like an addict. And that was the last time I took opioids when passing a kidney stone. Since then, I've probably passed about 4 smaller stones, but they still hurt the same. My back begins to hurt, it gets really stiff, my balls hurt, and if I don't pass it in enough time, it'll start bouncing around in my bladder, scratching the lining, possibly causing a urinary tract infection. Now when I feel a kidney stone, I do 2 things. I start a regimen of pills called the stonebreakers, and I take about 150 milligrams every 4 to 6 hours of RSO. One day I'm passing a kidney stone and I'm in a lot of pain. And usually when I'm in pain like that, I go lay down, put a heating pad on my back, but it kept getting worse throughout the day. I contemplated taking Vicodins, but I decided against it. I looked down into my cannabis stash and I have 6 RSO syringes staring back up at me like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And so I decided to take one. I took 200 milligrams, and within 30 minutes, I actually forgot that I was passing a stone. It's a beautiful thing when you're in pain and you take something for it, and then all of a sudden you forget that you were in pain like 30 minutes ago. Ever since then, RSO has been my go-to for pain management. If it can handle a kidney stone, in my opinion, it can handle damn near anything. And it just depends on the dosage. Rick Simpson was the Canadian engineer who created what we call Rick Simpson oil, but it's technically full spectrum oil. When we say full spectrum, we are referring to the whole plant extract. All the cannabinoids, including THC, CBD, CBN, CBG, flavonoids, terpenes, proteins, and other beneficial compounds. The full spectrum nature of RSO means that the user may benefit from the entourage effect. I'll get a little bit more into the entourage effect in another video, but it's when you combine all of the cannabinoids, they give a synergistic relationship by boosting each other's efficacy. The potential therapeutic efforts of RSO may help patients manage symptoms associated with conditions such as multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, chronic pain, and side effects caused by cancer treatments. You may be asking yourself, well, what's the difference between like the edibles that's made with a distillate and RSO? Distillate is refined and purified marijuana extract containing only the intended cannabinoids such as THC and CBD. On the other hand, an edible made with an RSO or an RSO oil will contain full spectrum cannabis, meaning it will contain all of the compounds that the cannabis plant has. Generally, RSO treats a multitude of symptoms. Like I said, I use it for pain relief, kidney stones, overall well-being. I've known some people to give RSO to their children or themselves who have the flu. The main claim RSO has treated cancer. However, many RSO supporters claim that it has helped treat with other conditions: high blood pressure, infections, chronic inflammation, arthritis, asthma, drug addiction, depression, multiple sclerosis. Now, I just want to let you know there is no direct evidence to support these claims. Besides taking RSO for pain management, I also take it because I feel better afterwards. 50 to 100 milligrams in the morning with some coffee and I'm ready for action. Your dosing will determine on whether you are too elevated, not elevated enough, or just right. Dosing can be tricky because there are many factors involved. For example, size and weight being one of them, but also tolerance. I'm 6'1", 240, 235 after I take the Browns to the Super Bowl in the morning. Plus, I take 100 milligram gummies, or even 200. So 100 milligrams of RSO is usually what I use, once in the morning and once in the evening. There are measurements on the side of the syringe, but unfortunately, if the RSO is too dark, you won't be able to see them until you empty the syringe. You'll see the marks. They are all marked in tenths. Tenths equal 100 milligrams. Now, if you're not me, you want to measure out smaller amounts, and this is what you could do. If your syringe comes with a tip, you can fill the tip, which would be about 20 milligrams. However, you may lose some in the tip unless you dip it in like some hot coffee or tea. You could always squeeze a little on your finger, but no more to cover up top of a pencil eraser. Wait, that's not really good measurement, because depending on how dense the oil is, you could stack a lot on a pencil eraser. So how about this? No more than one eye drop that would fit on your finger would be about 10 to 12 milligrams. Now, I'm not trying to scare you here, but me and another guy, we were at the movies and we decided we were going to take 1,000 milligrams of RSO, one syringe a piece. He actually was high for 3 days. Me, on the other hand, I just felt really chill for a few days. But him and I are very heavy consumers. We smoke blunts, we do dabs, joints, rosins, we eat edibles like they're M&Ms. RSO seems to have enough cannabinoids where you get the good effects of all the cannabinoids, but you still receive the psychoactive effects of the THC. I'm never sleepy. However, I do get really good sleep when I take the RSO at night. Very deep sleep. But it doesn't give me the effects like I've been smoking on an indica in the daytime. Kind of want to drag ass all day. It just gives me enough psychoactive effects that I'm cool. But also the CBD in the RSO takes away from the psychoactive effects to where I'm not loopy. I have a friend right now that just had knee surgery, and I sent her some RSO and some THC topical cream because she doesn't want to be on opioids. Anytime I would service a customer and they didn't smoke because of breathing issues, or they just didn't smoke period, or they didn't want the sugary content of a candy edible or an edible snack, I would suggest an RSO. It's more bang for your buck. You get 1,000 milligrams to play with. Now, of course, RSO works differently with everyone due to the fact that we all have our endocannabinoid system unique to our bodies. So everyone's experience will be different. That also goes to dosing. While some might have to dose higher, some might have to dose less. It all depends on your endocannabinoid system and how the RSO works with it. But once you get the dosing down, you will be okay. This is just my theory, but this seems to be what I've talked to some of my friends about. It seems that RSO doesn't really kick in until you digest something with it. I have a friend that took about 100 milligrams of RSO. It seemed to have sat on his stomach until he ate something. An hour, hour and a half later, it kicked in. Maybe he had a slow metabolism, or maybe the oil sat on his stomach until he digested something. I said all of this to say you may want to eat something because the RSO may sit on your stomach and kick in when you least expect it. Part of the reason why people get so sick taking edibles is because they don't know the activation time and how their body metabolizes things. I remember once my youngest daughter and I were staying with my parents. She woke up in the morning and my dad gave her some grapes for breakfast. Within about 10 to 15 minutes, she was zooming around the house like she drank a cup of coffee. Her body metabolized that sugar and gave her a kick like she drank Mountain Dew. So people take the edibles, then they're used to smoking, feeling the effects right away, but they don't get the same effect. So they start taking more edibles, not realizing it's an activation time, plus how your body metabolizes it. And because it's an edible, it's processed through the liver, and it's now 7 to 10 times stronger than if you were smoking. And that's why people end up in the hospital, because they weren't patient, they didn't read the instructions, they started popping edibles like Tic Tacs. I always smirk when a customer say edibles don't work on me, because I'm thinking in the back of my head, you haven't hung with me. I love RSO for several different reasons, but also because it's convenient and discreet. I'm from a state where smelling like marijuana can get you searched. And although I don't live in that state, I still carry some of that weariness with me. Even since I've been in Michigan, my friends could barely get me to smoke out in public unless we're secluded somewhere. While I'm in public, I can easily take a 50 milligram of RSO and I'm good. I use vape pens out in public, but even vape pens will make you cough uncontrollably. Oh, I forgot one thing. I gotta warn you about the taste. You may have a problem with the taste because it is bitter. And it will stick to the roof of your mouth, your teeth, or your dentures. I look at that as a plus because it's almost like a time release. It's going to take about 30 minutes for it to dissolve from the roof of your mouth or wherever it's sticking, and it's just a benefit to me because it just kicks in slowly. But if you have a problem with the taste, you can always put it on an Oreo. I call it an RS Oreo. Or mix it with oatmeal. I call it RSO meal. If you want to wash it down really fast, just put some in your mouth and then drink something hot. Now, I will say, we are not guaranteed that RSO has all of the medicinal effects that I mentioned. However, a lot of people swear by it. And if RSO is a placebo, it's a really damn good one.